Before we begin, please note that this episode contains discussions about serious mental health topics, including suicide. This content may be distressing for some listeners. If you do not wish to hear these topics, we encourage you to stop listening now. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available. In the U.S., you can dial 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Rob J. Today's episode is going to be a little different from the first three. Today's topic is a little heavy, but I think it's super important. It actually, I think it affects all of us. Today's episode is from pain to power, overcoming trauma and finding healing. How do we do that? Well, by the end of the show, I hope we all have a little more clarity of how we can just help ourselves, right? With our mental health and just our minds. Our minds are an amazing tool. A lot of times they can help us, but sometimes if we let our mind get too far gone, it can also hurt us. So one of the things about mental health for me when I started this podcast, I knew I eventually wanted to do an episode on mental health. Because even myself, right, the guy you're looking at, people that are looking on this are like, that know me especially, they're like, Rob J of all people. Yeah, Rob J of all people. There's something about mental health that a lot of us don't even know we're going through a lot of times until we're beyond a situation and we find healing, right? And we travel that road. And then when we look back, we realize we're like, wow, that was a mental health issue. And I myself, I've seen it almost through my entire life. My mom, she went through life like depressed. She took medication for it. I seen the battle every day of her life. As I was growing up as a kid, I really didn't know the magnitude of what was going on with her. But now as an adult and I look back, I'm like, yeah, she literally lived a mental crisis pretty much my whole life. And she managed it. See, I think a lot of times we think about mental health, we think like, red light, woo, woo, mental health, have to go to the hospital, have to do all these things. It's not always the case. Mental health sometimes comes in it absolutely comes in various ways. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it is red light, situation where mental health needs to be taken care of by a mental health facility or a professional like ASAP. But it's all over the place. So I watched my mom, I watched different family members, and how about myself? One of the things with myself was when I sold my pizzeria, and I often mention this, was I found my identity in the pizzeria. I found my success and everything about myself labeled as what Pizza Queen allowed me to be. And when I sold Pizza Queen, I lost myself. And people would say, maybe you don't think that's mental health. It is, trust me. I was battling a storm inside of me that I could not calm until I faced it head on, right? I had to say, okay, Rob, you're bigger than Pizza Queen. Pizza Queen doesn't define who you are. You are Rob J, the real Rob J, and there's so much more to you. But until I looked inside of myself and realized that, and I dealt with that head on, I was in a little bit of a mental health crisis. But I'm happy to say that here we are post 2 years, guys. 2 years ago, I sold my shop and I am in a beautiful place. I love myself. And I'm happy to say that little mental health crisis that I was absolutely going through, I can say that I made my way through. Thank God. Thank God. So that's my little story. And I'll tell you, there's others, but that was probably one of the worst ones that I personally went through. But during today's episode, it's going to get real. It's going to get raw. It's going to be real powerful. And I hope all of us, including myself, can find some healing, right? And some actual ways to continue to do our best through those crises that we possibly could be going through. I would like to say that I could do today's episode all by myself, but I can't. Um, you see, there's something about true life stories, right? You hear the highs, you hear the lows. It's that up and down thing, and it's so amazing to hear someone who's been through a lot. When I tell you she's been through a lot, this girl has been through a lot. But oh, I love the word but, because no matter what yesterday was, we have the power to heal and control our tomorrow. And this young lady is all about overcoming tragedy, obstacles, hurt, and pain, and coming on the other side to have a beautiful day. She's an inspiration to myself and all who know her. I'm going to read to you just a little bit about who she is. Nichole Costa is an educator. She's an artist, an advocate with over 18 years experience teaching young children. She holds a master's in education from Montclair State University and is passionate about nurturing creativity, confidence, and compassion in every child she comes across. As a talented muralist and contributor to children's ministry programs, Nichole also actively advocates for promoting resiliency and supporting those struggling with mental health in her community and across the world. So, yes, guys, that's right. You would think, you're like, whoa, somebody like that. Yeah, that's right. Somebody like that herself, Nichole Costa, is in studio. And just in a few minutes, she will be sitting on this couch next to me telling you her story, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the comeback. Let's go. As I'm so excited for Nichole to be here. But you know who I am, right? You know what I'm all about. Let's go. Let's go to the stats. Let's see what the world has to say about mental health and also suicide. Approximately 23% of all adults experience a mental health condition each year. 23%, that is huge. One in five adults have current mental health conditions. So think about it. Every room you're in with five people, at least one of those people is going through a very, like a today mental health situation. One in 20 adults have a serious mental health condition that significantly interferes with their daily life. Here's some of the disorders in case you're thinking like, Rob, what's classified as mental health? Let me help you out with that. Anxiety disorders, 19% of the population, they go through anxiety disorders. 8.3% go through major depression. Remember, I was telling you about my mom. I lived it. I saw it. It's horrible. It's horrific. 3.6% is post-traumatic stress disorder. And then 2.8% of America, or the population, I should say, are bipolar disorder. And how about this? 2% obsessive compulsive disorder. Mental health conditions, it also says, that are more common in young adults between 18 and 25 than older adults that are 65 and older. Young adults experience a mental health condition 36% more of the time than older adults. 10% of all adolescents experience a mental health condition. Here's the breakdown. 42.5 million, what? 42.5 million adults have anxiety. 21 million adults, just to put numbers to the percentage, right? 21 million adults have major depression. 59.3 million adults have a mental health condition. And 90% of Americans believe there's a mental health crisis. 90% of us think that there's a mental health crisis in America. If we look around, turn on the news, you'll see mental health after mental health after mental health. Even if they mention it or not, you see the news, all the hot topics, right? All these people that are doing shootings and killings, and people that are running their cars in groups of people, you name it. I don't care what you do. You can call them a lunatic. You can call them out of their mind. You can call them deranged, whatever you want. The bottom line is that most cases, all those people have something buried deep down inside of them that they just have not faced. Just like when I mentioned myself with the pizzeria, right? Finding my identity in that. And then when it came to an end, I was finding myself wondering who Rob Johnson was. That's a mental health crisis. But guess what? First thing I did was I made sure that I realized that it was an issue, right? Like I was like, okay, Rob, this is not good. You got to figure out how we can overcome this. And that's what I did, right? So the number one thing you got to do is find out there's a problem, admit that you have a problem, and get help, right? And find your way to that finish line to be the best version of yourself. Guys, listen, this story coming up with Nichole, it's going to get raw. Like I said, it's going to get real. It's going to get heavy. There will be talks about suicide. She lost family members to suicide. I just want to give you guys that warning. It's going to be graphic. She's going to be vulnerable. She's going to speak truth. So make sure you're ready. But I will tell you this. If you are going through just a mental health crisis right now, we just want to be sensitive to your needs and know that this episode just may not be right for you at this moment. So if you're going through one and you can't handle conversation about suicide and just other traumatic experiences that our friend Nichole has went through throughout her life, you may not want to go forward after this break with the rest of the show until you heal. All right, guys, in a few minutes, I'm coming back with one of my really close friends, Nichole Costa, and it's going to get real. She's going to talk from her heart, and she's going to help us understand how she's went from pain to power and has overcome traumatic things that happen in her life to find joy once again. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When it comes to keeping your property safe, clean, and looking its best, trust the experts at Frateroli Tree Service LLC. Whether you need tree removal, tree trimming, stump grinding and removal, or brush cleanup, our experienced team is ready to handle the job, big or small. We take pride in delivering fast, reliable, and professional service you can count on. From hazardous tree removals to routine maintenance, we'll make sure your yard looks beautiful and stays safe year-round. And the best part? Estimates are always free, so you know exactly what to expect with no surprises. Don't wait until that overgrown tree becomes a problem. Call Frateroli Tree Service LLC today at 856-371-2167 to schedule your free estimate. Frateroli Tree Service LLC, where safety, quality, and customer satisfaction take root. Call now, 856-371-2167.
All right, guys, welcome back to Keeping It Real with Rob J. As you can see, I have my beautiful friend here, Nichole Costa.
Hey, Robbie, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here, truly.
Listen, I've been telling all these guys all about you. So they pretty much know who you are already.
So then I can just go home.
No, you're not going home. No. We have a lot to talk about. But I wanted to start off before I was sharing all about today's episode, right? All about mental health and healing, right? All about the power to heal through traumatic experiences. And I just wanted to go back to when I was talking about the stats. During the break, we were getting things ready for the next segment. And my son, he's 11 years old, and he's like, Dad, isn't like a eating disorder a part of like a mental health thing too? I'm like, yeah, but it is because and it's funny, he should mention that because my son, right? 8 years old, 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, he was sick and he projectile vomited everywhere. It was so rough. I mean, it was rough. It took him out for a day or two. But in his mind, that was so traumatic, right? It stayed in his mind that it actually turned on a light switch that like he associated every time he ate to getting sick. And it took us 2 years. We had to connect him with a specialist from CHOP, our local children's hospital, GI doctor that got hooked him up with a psych, like a stomach, like a gut and mind health doctor.
Well, a lot of times they're interrelated and connected directly.
So it's funny he should say that. He reminded me of that because that is a mental health disorder, and it actually that was huge for our house because it only didn't affect him at the 9-year-old. What I think he was 9 years old when he went through it. It affected our whole house. We had to make sure we had to start measuring his food, and we had to, he had to read books, and he had to go to meetings virtually, and all these different things because he had to forget that trauma, right? To begin the healing process of what a lot of us take for granted every day, that like we wake up, our stomach starts growling, we get hungry, we go eat, and we go about our day.
Normal daily function.
Right.
Yeah.
It was traumatic. It was like a big to do for him to put food in his mouth after that. So for all you guys out there, I apologize. Food disorders are huge. And listen, make sure you take them serious. My son lost a ton of weight. It was an excruciating time, in our life of our whole entire family. Heather and I had already raised 2 kids, and we didn't go through this. And all of a sudden it was
and
like,
not
what?
understanding really what's going on underneath it's a lot. It could be a lot.
It was a lot.
So,
It was a lot, but I just wanted to mention that because I think there was so much power in just for an 11-year-old boy to
Make that
remind me
connection.
of, he's 11 years old and he's already healed from a mental health crisis. But so thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. You're the man. I and Mom and I are so grateful for you. You're awesome. But we want to get into the thick of things of why Nichole is here. I told you guys a little bit about her, but we just want to get into we want to know what's in that head and that heart of yours. Isn't that good? But no, here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get into the thick of things. We know you've had a few ups and downs in your life, right?
A series. I mean, a lifetime.
A lifetime. But I think from knowing you, and you and I had a lot of conversations about mental health, I think what I take from it is one of the greatest things that I always get from conversations with you is now that you've been through what you've been through, and you continue to do so every day, your goal is to help others heal, right? And to find a path to healing, right? Not that they're going to be able to start today and be healed tomorrow. It's a journey.
It's a forever long process. It's for every day, and it's not. It doesn't stop. But that's on the flip side of things. From my perspective, it's like working out using a muscle. So the more you use that muscle, the easier it gets. So when something else comes along, it's like, yeah, I remember this. I exercised that. So I have to choose today. I'm going to choose. I could choose life or I could choose death, and I could choose to meditate on this or I could choose to meditate on that. And so those skills kind of just strengthen.
I love you was talking about that because everybody knows I've been going through like a healthy lifestyle change, getting the muscles up, and I'm lifting, and I tore something in my elbow, like I busted something in my elbow, and I'm like, but now I miss because I can't use this arm right now.
Right, and you miss it.
But I miss the feeling that I get when I was like working out my muscles. Like I miss that feeling. But start out by sharing what life was like growing up in the younger years of Nichole Costa.
Okay, so growing up, I grew up with 2 older boys. I was the only girl. And so, I had to earn my space to kind of, be with them. They were gracious, but they like to pick on me and harass me quite a bit, as big brothers do.
Right.
And it really just, I enjoyed playing that role. I got a taste of adventure, and I got to go and, do girl things with my mom. But, the heavy hand was a lot of turmoil inside the house in terms of my father. He had a very aggressive, hostile temper, but he could also be playful. And it was just tricky because you didn't know on any given day which one you would get. And so I practiced very early on how to tiptoe and how to have just cat-like reflexes, not to really cause too much. I don't want to cause any attention, good or bad or indifferent. I just want to kind of coast.
Just kind of want to be there.
And, and so in that coasting, I observed and analyzed everything. And a lot of what I learned in my life was through observation and just, I don't have to repeat the same mistakes because I see them, And so my depth of processing and the way that I internalize those things is a result of, who I am today. So, It was at times abusive and hostile, and at other times there was laughter. But it was also very freeing. We were outside all day. We were creating. We didn't have a whole lot, so we would be, out back building forts or, climbing mountains or building bike ramps. And
Yeah.
every day like was different. So it
Also at
was
the ocean.
yeah, and at the beach, that was our sacred time. It still is. And so like there was a lot of life in there, even though there was a lot of turmoil.
Right. And
And
as
so,
you grew up, uh, your brothers, something traumatic, like, you went through a little trauma, right? Traumatic, very, I actually should say
I would call it a
a
fracture.
fracture, right?
Probably the earliest fracture was the family unit. My father and my mom divorced. My dad, just pulled us aside gently and he said, "Hey, I'm leaving. This isn't, about you. This is about your mom and I." And, he packed his things and he left. And, as young as I was, I think I was in middle school. And I just remember feeling a weight lifted. And I mean, at that time, that shouldn't be a normal response, but that was my response because of the
That's
stress
understandable.
that we were under. I mean, he struggled with alcohol. And so it was very unpredictable.
But let me stop you there when I think it's important to mention when you were talking what I heard. And when I heard, I know a lot of families out there are they end up in divorce,
Hmm.
right? But I think the parents sometimes stay because they say, "Oh, for the kids."
Hmm. It's
And
better for
and
the
but right
kids.
there in your but like
It
right
was
there when you
not.
were talking, you were
Yeah.
like, I felt like a weight was
Mm.
lifted off. And it's so pure and it's so raw. And I love the fact, and I don't want these guys to miss that not that we're advocating for divorce. Like I
Absolutely.
think marriage. We had an episode. Our last episode was about marriage, and I think marriage is a beautiful thing and it's worth fighting for. But also at the same time, a lot of these things that we're going to be talking about today with mental health, a lot of time it starts at a
A young
childhood age,
age.
at a young
Well,
age.
and healthy parents make healthy kids, and if they're unhealthy as a unit, then it's not going to be healthy, you
Right.
know? So, I mean, sometimes separation is the best thing to do, just to preserve what's
Makes
there.
sense.
So,
Makes
yeah,
sense. And that helped you out.
it helped me a lot. I mean, that's when I discovered who I was and, without that pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. So you had mentioned you know, something awful happened in like a few years ago with your brothers and your dad, right? Like
So in 2012, so my brothers didn't have the same response that I did.
okay.
They didn't have I was also part of a church growing up, and so that was a huge buffer for me.
Right.
Was my faith,
Yep.
and moving forward, when that got disrupted, you put adolescents in a house, and mom
Sure.
is working nights.
Yep.
My brother was a senior and we became Club Costa. So, I mean, that's when the parties began on the weekends. We had a cleanup crew, a setup crew, and it was from chop to nuts. It was a well-run system. And at the time, it's so innocent. It's young kids having parties and just sharing a drink. But when you're using it as an escape, that is when it wreaks havoc. And that
Uh,
at that time was critical for us because of what was going on in the family dynamics. To introduce a substance at that moment was probably one of the worst things. But there was no one there to stop it,
right.
and so that little moment becomes a habit, and then you chase that feeling because it's a better feeling than what your reality is. And it's kind of like um, I guess chasing money. It's like money is blowing in the wind and you're running after it. It's like you might grab it, but you always want that sensation of like
You want more.
you want more of it.
Never content.
And right. And so then the problem is that when you stop and you stop the drinking, then you're then it's like going back to step one again of like everything just happened. So you never really grow past that trauma
Do you
because
think, not to interrupt you, I apologize. Um do you think your mom and dad staying together would have changed the outcome? Do you think that would have helped? Or do you not know if that's
for myself, it wouldn't have been beneficial.
mm,
No, I think it would have been more toxic.
mm, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy to
You
hear
think
you talk about like everything you guys were going through, Club Costa, right? Turn into drugs and things that, aren't the right answer, of course. But then you get an opportunity to be like, do you think a wholesome well, not a wholesome family, but a mother and father in the house would have changed things? And because of the dynamic of your mom and dad's relationship and other things that went on in the house, you're like, I think it would have been worse.
Yeah, and I can't blame it on the dynamic of their relationship. It was more the instability of the two of them had kids, but at the age of 20, they had 3 kids. So you figure these are kids raising kids.
Kids raising
And
kids.
so now kids raising kids are growing up, and now we're like, we're friends too. We're parents and we're friends.
Right.
And so there's a lot of like different blurred lines, as I guess you would say. But to me, that was always good because I could share clothes with my mom. We were always like kind of on the same wave. So she's my friend, but she's my mom.
Right.
But in my dad's situation, he was not well.
Okay.
And so for the boys to have that association with the sick parent, they made choices based on his decisions, which weren't really ever good.
Right.
And so they emulated his behavior and mirrored back what he did. And so as a result of that, it came at a series of loss.
Yeah, I know. We remember those times with you, and it was devastating for you. I don't You want to share with the viewers a little bit about what it was like to go through that trying time in your life.
I mean, and prior to, there was a lot of moments leading up. So Rick was kind of like my Irish twin. We were 11 months apart, so we were really, really close.
Yeah.
And as I developed, went to college, got married, our lives kind of drifted a bit. We stayed in contact, but it wasn't nearly as close. There were times when he'd reach out to me and he'd be struggling, and I'd talk him through it.
Yeah.
And I always knew that he was kind of teetering on that edge of struggling to make it. But he also had this substance abuse. Like, if it wasn't this, it was that, or this or that. It was just, it was medication. He was medicating himself with something that needed psychiatric help, right? And so, and he did try that. He was in his own mind, and so he couldn't get out of that and grab hold of that. Where I started taking antidepressants at the age of 18. And I was diagnosed with, major depressive episodes. And thankfully for me, I stuck with it. I went to counseling, and, I grew, you know. He couldn't break through that. And so 2012, April 2012, got the phone call that I had always feared.
Right.
And, they had found his body. And my mom had called me on the phone, and she said, do you want to go with me? And I said, no, absolutely not, because she thought he was sleeping. And I said, no, I don't believe that he's sleeping. I believe that he ended his life, and so I just didn't want that to be the last memory, of
Understood.
my memory of my brother, even if he was there,
Sure.
And in my heart, I knew that he was gone. And it's losing a sibling is like losing a limb. You know that your arm was here, it was fully functioning, right? But if you lose your arm, you're still going to have the sensation that it's there.
That's what they say.
And so losing a sibling is kind of like that. It's like part of you. You lose part of you. And
Now let me ask you this. You've lost other people in your life, grandparents,
Right.
aunts, uncles. How do you relate losing a family member, a brother, to suicide versus saying losing a grandparent to old age?
wow. Well, you don't grieve until you solve the case. Like
Wow.
your days are spent trying to figure out, what did I miss? Dang, should I have done that? Questioning yourself over and over again.
Why did I not show up?
Did I do everything that I could do? Was I a good sister? Before you can even really grieve, you're trying to process and go through like CSI to figure out what signs you missed, where along the way. And then, all to come to this realization, and I found a lot of good support groups.
Right.
And one of the things that helped me was if I were responsible for their death, then they would still be here. And so that helped me let go of that weight, because truly I don't have that much power.
Right.
But you don't know that because of that bond, that closeness, it's personal.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, it's
Oh my
personal.
goodness.
And, you know, and then, you know, you think about how people are going to view you too on the outside, because it's like, well, how didn't they know? Why didn't they get him help? Or, you know, the side banter, and just the fact that people don't want to talk about it creates their own silence in and of itself, because, well, you know, in Christianity, you know, if you commit suicide, you know, you're going to hell. So we're not going to talk about it there, and then we're not going to talk about it here. So we're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I appreciate about this so much, is that you have to.
Yeah.
In order to heal, you have to.
That's crazy.
You have to. And finding your safe place and your safe space to talk.
I think like I'm just like, it blew my mind when you said um it's not like you don't have the power to change it, because if you did,
They'd be here.
he'd still be here.
Yeah.
Like that is like,
Mm.
it's not even I wouldn't say it to
It's the
me.
truth.
To me, when I heard you say it though, I'm like, it almost sounded like common sense though. Like it
To
wasn't
you.
to me, right, because I'm like,
Mm.
okay, well that makes sense. Like, because if I had the power, right,
You would
he'd
exercise
sit
it.
on the couch, you know what I mean? Like
Correct.
we'd be out playing
Right.
ball today, you know,
But
something like that.
somehow, some way, you know, with love and the way that you love people, you somehow feel as though, like, you, if I just loved them enough, if I just loved them more, man, they'd still be here, you know?
Yeah.
Because it carries that kind of guilt. Because, and it's, you know, and my reality is that living with him alive, it wasn't peaceful. I always carried pain because I knew that he was suffering. And so you never truly, live life to where you want it to be, because one of you is dragging behind, you know, and it's like, come on, I want you to come with me.
And I,
You know, I want
think that,
everybody with me.
and I think that goes for, I can understand that point of having siblings and family members that are still alive,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Right.
I do get that point, because people see me and they're like, oh, you're successful because of the hard work that myself and my wife have put into ourselves, right, in our lives. And we have family members, and you know, I have siblings, you know, and it's like I want so much more for them,
Absolutely.
right? And you can't truly, you can't live and like be truly happy or truly what God calls you to be, because you always think about the
You're
people
always
you
going.
love.
Yeah, that's
you
your
always
family.
like
Yeah,
you
that's your
always. I
blood.
love them so much that I'm like, they don't even see that I'm their biggest cheerleader, and I'm like, you can do it.
Yeah.
You
I
can
mean, and I
do it.
remember a conversation that I had with, you know, God, the Holy Spirit. I said, God, you know, like, I just like I would die for them. And he was just like, I already did.
Yeah.
And
All
it's like,
day.
you know, everything that we could possibly need, he's already provided. And it's just, it comes down to choice, you know, and there's certain things that you can't decide for somebody else, you know, and it's like, as much as you want something for them, it's like, you know, the gift could be right there, but if you don't want to open that present,
I say it all
you
the
know, and
time.
I'm not gonna, there's a beautiful present there, but I'm not gonna touch it, you know, and but you're like, but what's inside is so good, you know,
So good.
but
And
you can't convince.
the fact that we, right, you have been there and opened that gift, right? And
Right.
you've sought healing, you've received healing. Like,
Correct.
you're there. They're looking at a tangible,
Right.
literally looking at
Evidence.
you, right? They're going,
Right.
wow, my sister's there. You know,
Right.
my sibling, my family, they're like, oh, Rob's there. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason they can't make it.
Yeah. And it leaves you to wonder, you know, and it's like, dang, you know, you don't know what you're missing, you know, if you would just get out of your head.
It breaks my
But
heart.
that's the sickness, is, you know, what your mind could be your greatest gift or your greatest curse.
That's what I said.
And so my mind has amazing potential to create beautiful things. But if I allow it to go down a dark path, it will go there too.
For sure.
You know, and so I have to be careful with how I take care of my temple. What am I putting in? What is going in my mind? What am I meditating on? What's coming out? You know, who am I spending my time with? Like, just so many different things that you have to self-regulate and really care about, you know, and protect because at any time something could creep in there that's gonna, like, spiral you out.
And I think too, a lot of things you're saying are very simplistic things
And
that
it
can be
is.
done.
Yeah.
But to be honest, most of us make it much greater than what it truly is. And I think a lot of times
It's discipline.
we don't, well, also, I think a lot of times we get comfortable who we are and where we're at, and we don't want to change. Therefore, we make those things that you're speaking of mountains. You know what I mean? Because, and then you can actually show people the incapability of we can show people that we're incapable of making that climb to the mountain.
Yeah.
If we create it as a
If you
mountain.
create it. And I have to tell you, when he died, I died.
Yeah.
I remember crying out to God and said, God, just take me home. It's not my will, but it's yours,
Right.
And I remember how real and how dark and how lonely and how hurt and broken I was. And I just remember saying to myself, feel it, but you're not pitching a tent here.
Yeah. You're not going to
This isn't a campsite. You're gonna mourn, you're gonna grieve, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna live, you're gonna heal, but you're not staying.
That's right.
It's like, and there's always this internal force within me that's like, but you're not done yet. We're not camping out here.
Yeah.
And it's
The power of choice.
choice.
The power of
Yeah.
choice in all things across
Right.
life, right? This whole show is about mental health, and it boils down to choice.
Choice.
A lot.
Yeah.
Even if the problem you're going through is greater than you, I still believe that we all have the ability to choose to reach our hand out for help.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like,
And so-
there's a lot out there, but if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not even willing to extend, right? The people going through the mental health, issues have the ability, if nothing else, they have the ability to extend that hand of like, hey, come meet me where
I am. Just sit with me.
Right?
That means so much. Like, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to go anywhere. Just sit with me.
Just
I'm
sit with
not
me.
asking you to fix it. I just want to know that I'm not here by myself.
That's right.
And
I also know that it didn't stop with just him, right? Unfortunately.
Right. And so, how much time do we have?
Let's go.
Okay.
We have time.
Okay. So, all right, let's pause here. So from there, remember how I talked to you about the sick parent?
Yep.
Okay. So I had to make a decision in my early 20s that my father was a sick parent. And, kind of like when COVID came about, and, it was like, we have to stay 6 feet, and, the human thing to do is to want your father, right? And it's not that I didn't, I did. It was just that I understood that in the state that he was in, it was more harmful for me than beneficial. And so as a result of that, and it stung, it hurt, but I had to sever the relationship and move back for my own healing. And, I left the door open, and I reached out to him and I said, I'm willing to talk, I'm willing to reconcile, but these are the terms and this is what we got to do, because true reconciliation for us can't be here if we're just going to stay at surface level. You may have apologized, but you didn't hear me out. You don't understand how I felt.
Right.
And I want you to know that in order for us to reconcile. And he wasn't able to do that. But I continued to grow. I continued to heal. I forgave him, but I also still knew, that this isn't going to be a real relationship.
Sure.
And so when, and I'm praying and I'm like, God, you know my heart. It's harder for me to hold back. I want to I want to love on him. I do. It's a burden for me to stand at a distance, but it's for my safety.
Right.
And so I just kind of just was leaning back and sitting quiet and trusting, God's timing. And so after Rick had passed away, I felt the burden to be there for him. And it was supernatural. It wasn't even, it wasn't my own desire. And I knew, because I wasn't looking to him as a father, but I wanted to be there for him as a son of God. He was a child of God.
Right, for sure.
And I saw him at that level of, you're God's child, and you were suffering. You lost your son. I lost a brother.
Yeah.
You lost your son. And in his mind, he thought that they were very close friends. In actual reality, Rick had left a note and addressed everyone except for my father. So when that was an awakening for him, I knew how painful that must be to live this disillusion that we're close, but in reality, in the final moments,
Nowhere to be found.
nowhere to be found. And I mean, and that was just a result because I knew the real Rick. I knew what was hiding underneath that was pain.
Mhm.
And we had real conversations behind the scenes. And, he loathed that. He was dependent on him for a ride. He lost his license and, he was a carpenter and my dad would kind of exploit him. And that created this kind of hostility within him and, taking advantage. The fact that he was addicted to drugs. Can you get me pills? Can you do this? It was a sick bond.
Yeah.
And it was unhealthy. And I saw it, and Rick would report back to me and he would say, you're doing the right thing, Nikki. Just stay away. You're right. You're right. And he would always protect me.
Right.
Even in his own, mess, he would say, you're doing good. Just don't get involved here,
Mhm.
And so, after Rick had died and, I stepped into my father's life and, never saw a man so broken in my life. It just, like,
Mm. Sad. But he needed you, and you knew that,
he did.
right?
And yeah,
You
and I went
you
in,
answered the call.
I did. And I went in without any expectation. Look, I'm coming to you. I accept that nothing has changed. I don't want anything. I just want to love you, you
Right.
know? And our relationship for that year was beautiful. It was amazing. We were, I was like his fishing partner.
I
We went
know
fluke
you guys.
fishing,
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were on the beach all the
and
time fishing with him.
it was so intimate and so beautiful and such a gift. It was really such a gift.
Mhm.
And those moments came to an end, and he warred with his own demons. And after a night out at a bar, he was drinking, and the dark side came in, and he pulled a knife on a bus kid, and he was facing some time. And so it was at that time, it was just around Father's Day. We were supposed to get together, and I remember he called me the morning of, and I sent a birthday gift with his girlfriend home to him, and I figured I'd wait for his phone call. He's going through a lot emotionally. Let me just
Yeah.
give him space. He's a man, men need their space. I
They
get
need their
it,
space. We definitely
It's
need
like
their
I'm having a
space.
moment here. You can get yourself together and get composed. I
Yeah,
get
for
it.
sure.
And so he did call, and when he called, I just, I knew. He was saying, I love you, and you know, I love you, and he said, I really messed up this time, and I could hear the desperation in his voice, and I said, right, Dad. I said, I love you too. I said, we're gonna get through this. I said, it's just a turning point. This is where you pivot,
Mhm.
like.
Speaking life.
Right. This is where we pivot. You
Right.
had a mistake. Now we pivot, we turn, we work through it as a family. That's what we do.
Right.
It's going to be okay. And, we just ended it with, I love you. And so I hung up and I sat with myself and I said, something's wrong. So he's going to take his life. I feel it.
Wow.
And so I sent him a text and I was typing the text. I said, I just feel as though, I don't know if it's the trauma, because it could be the trauma of from what we survived,
Right.
but I feel as though you're going to take your life. I feel it, and I send it. And so he called me back and I was in the shower when he left a voicemail. And so when I, got myself together, I saw that he called. I listened to the voicemail, and that just sent me. I can't. I don't want to relive it.
No, for sure.
But I knew then that
Mm.
it was done. He was on his way, and I called him back, and I'm yelling at him through the phone, and he hung up, and I immediately knew, call the cops, call my grandparents. Let's try to prevent. But it was too late. He had a well calculated plan, and he ended his life June 16th, 2014.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years after your brother.
Yeah. And so, at the time, he went to a lake. he had Rick's ashes in his hand. So that just, is very forthtelling of where his heart was.
Right.
And, he left a note, and that was the end. And so, in the middle of that was me, and then there was also my older brother, Rob. And
Let's stop there though. Like, you're still sitting here, right? After like the death of your brother and now the death of your dad.
Right. Okay.
Hold
Yeah.
on, right?
Right. I
So
get
we're
it.
getting like 2012, 2014, you
Right.
said, right? So we're in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
We're 11 years post,
Mm.
right? Your dad, what, 13 years post your one brother. I know you have a lot more to tell, right? Hold on, listen.
Yes.
So like it honestly, you would say, does it get worse? That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Like, does it get worse? It absolutely gets worse.
It can always get worse.
But it's crazy is that in 2025, you're sitting here.
Oh, I'm a miracle. Oh, without a doubt, I'm a miracle. I know it every day. Every day I wake up and I thank God that I'm still here, that my body moves, that my mind moves, that I'm able to think, to live, to dream. I shouldn't be. It
You
is
absolutely
against
shouldn't
all
be.
certainty. The things that I've seen, the things that I have heard, the ways that I have felt, it is an absolute sheer testament of not my strength. This is God's strength through
Oh, yeah,
me
it's the love of
and His
God, man.
grace all over my life, because there's no human explanation for me to be functioning, for me to still dream, and for me to still have the capacity to love. Like, it's not possible. Not in this body,
No. It's so raw and so true. And you're so it continues, right? Like it
It
goes.
continues, but I do want to pause on that, the loss of a parent to suicide, in case there's someone
Yeah,
else.
for
I mean,
sure.
this isn't about me as much as, I think the story is great. Not great. It's not great at all, but I just think that if I had to go through all that, if I don't use this to help a listener or someone there, then it's wasted.
Right.
It's not
I
about me.
understand.
It's
That's what
about,
you said. You were like, Rob,
I mean,
put
I'm
me on
adamant
this
about
show.
that.
I'm like,
I am
absolutely.
right. I'm not here for me.
No, of course.
And I would want no one to ever live through or experience any of the darkness or the hell that I have had to walk through. No one.
Right.
No one should feel that kind of pain. No one. But I have to tell you that the Word of God, it is sharper than any two-edged sword.
That's right. Amen.
And when you spoke about identity, when my father took his life, that was the very thing that was stripped away from me. Is how can a parent who's supposed to love me, nurture me, and protect me choose to die and leave me here? What does that say about my value?
Right.
And that was hard. I reached out to a counselor. And I remember early on, I had a choice. And I had to say, I am going to reframe. I know what my pain says. The pain says this, you know, but I can't look at my reference point based on this, because the Word of God tells me otherwise. And so I had to choose early on that I know that this is what He said. And yeah, I might look like the bastard child, because that's how I felt,
Oh,
abandoned, left, all the things. But I had to reframe it and say, no, I'm a child of God.
that's right.
I am who He says I am. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Every drop, like His thoughts about me are as precious as the grains of sand. Do you know how many grains of sand are in a handful of sand?
Oh, I'm saying, yeah.
It's so good.
Millions,
And
right.
so I had to keep rehearsing that until I believed it, because my circumstances said otherwise. It didn't tell me that I'm loved. I had to, like, over and over and over again, like
Repetitiveness.
repetitive, until I actually felt it in my heart, where it pierced through that darkness. And it doesn't just happen. It's not just happenstance. It takes work, daily. And but I was willing to fight for my life because I knew I was worth it.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of, oh, man, this is a hard show. We told you guys it was going to be hard. I know, Nichole, you guys are looking at my sister. I know this story. I know her story. And sitting here with her in this room is hard for me to listen to someone that I care about so much and I have so much love for. My wife and I, she's our sister, she's our blood, she's our girl. And we walked through a lot of these times with you.
You did?
And to hear it this way,
Mm,
it still breaks my heart,
mm,
but it gives me so much joy and so much hope to hear about the grace of God, man.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And that there is, no matter what we go through, that there's a God out there that loves us
mm,
and fills those gaps, right?
mhm.
And changes the game. It,
There's no pain that he can't undo. There's just no damage he can't undo.
I say it's all in the cross.
It
The
really is.
cross
And
changed the
it's like,
game.
but you have to believe. You have to have the faith to believe that what he says is true. You can't question that. It's like he made me. He said it.
He
He's
said,
God.
he,
If he said it,
mm,
I believe it. And who am I to question what his hand made?
that's right.
If I say otherwise, I'm insulting his intelligence. Far be it from me to argue with him who's created me, and let me accept who he's created. Let me embrace and surrender into who he's created me to be, because I get a lot further in life that way, instead of hating myself. And I always say that, like, what's the most important relationship you have?
Oh, with Jesus all day.
Right. Who's the second?
My wife,
Oh, yeah. It's yourself.
myself. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
It's yourself.
It's
And it's
yourself.
because you spend the most time with yourself. That
That is true.
self-talk, that self-regulation, it's like, so what's your dialogue sound like? What does your script sound like? And for someone who struggles, it could be constant negatives, negative, negative, negative. There's nothing like full life in there or positive,
Mm-mm.
and that kind of breaks it down to the core. It's like, what do you believe about yourself? Who do you think you are? And start there. Start with that small piece, because from there you're going to develop, your habits, and then it's going to dictate which direction you move in. It's with those thoughts and those belief systems about yourself. So it's a lot. It's
It is a
a
lot.
lot.
It's a lot. I am in awe of your strength and your fight. Like your words even coming through when you're talking are like battle mode. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it
Like
is.
like you talk about your pain, but I think you put so much more emphasis on the power to heal,
Hmm.
right? Like you're speaking to these guys, whether you're listening, in the car or wherever you're listening, or you're watching. You're blessed enough to watch this transpire right here on the show. It's the power in your message, man.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like you do. You're here. You're telling of your pain, and you lost your brother, you lost your dad, but it didn't stop there, right? Like you lost another brother, right?
So yeah, the final chapter, the toughest chapter, uh, ironically, my oldest brother, Rob and I. So he was older, so we weren't the closest growing up, but once the losses had started, we kind of clung to each other, and he was my person. You know,
I
um,
mean, you guys really had nothing left, just him
it
and
was
your
him and
mother.
me, and so it was him, me, and my mom, and we were tight, and he didn't like lose my sight for out of more than a week, or a day sometimes,
Yeah.
but he had his own inner workings, and as did I. And it's just, his issue, it stemmed back from the drinking in high school, and one thing spirals into another until you cross that line, and his was heroin. Um, and if you think I'm a fighter, he was a force to be reckoned with. I am who I am because of him, and watching the strength in his story.
Hmm.
Because he faced, the demon of heroin itself, and defeated it time and time again. And it would be long periods of time. We're talking 2, 3 years, and then he'd go back to it. And it's like, but why are you going back? Like, I don't understand. Like, you just overcame it. Like, you don't
Yeah.
need that,
Mhm.
But I would call him the comeback kid, because he would go down, and he would know what he had to do. He would attend his support meetings. He went to, weekly
NA,
meetings,
yeah.
NA, and he knew the truth. And so what he said to me, and I'll never forget it, and I live by this, he said, if I ever die from this, don't ever hide the truth. I want everybody to know, because I want to be able to help somebody, and I want them to know how hard like heroin is, and I took that to heart.
Right.
Um, and so, I learned so much about addiction through him, and,
Mhm.
about how to overcome it, and how to fall,
Right.
but it was like, it was kind of like, being a trainer with him, because every time he would rise, I would rise. And whenever he would fall, I would fall.
Right.
And my mom too, and would be like, oh no, he fell again, let's go rally up the troops.
'Cause
We're
you,
going to
well,
go support him.
you carried that cross
Yeah.
with him.
And yeah, because yeah, I lost my family, and you lost yours too,
Mhm.
but you're a guy. It's different. Those were the men in your life.
Right.
I still have my same-sex parent, my mom.
Yeah,
She's here.
yeah.
I don't know what that feels like for you. It must be lonely, because now you got to recreate based off of what framework? You don't have much.
Yeah, he doesn't have much.
And so he didn't have a reconciled relationship with my father either. And I think that was really, really the target. And I think in saying that is, don't harbor things. It's just, and so he struggled. So 2014 to 2019, it was taxing. Uh, it was just exhausting. Just an emotional spiral of, sadness, for him, for me. I'm trying to carry my weight, and I'm trying to pick him up too. Um, and it just, he just couldn't rise above it, and I think in the end it was the heroin that took his life. He overdosed.
Sure.
Behind the wheel, and he was facing, it was his third, so he was facing 10 years with a loss of license, and that was his final moment. I knew it, he knew it, and I quietly remember, it was the day of my father's anniversary. It was Father's Day. So those weekends would come, and it would just be like, oh God, I don't know what to expect, because not only do I not know what to expect for me, but I don't know what to expect for him, because his issue is big, and he could fly off the handle at any moment. And God, if I lose him too, oh God, I can't handle that,
Yeah.
And so it's like trying to do this juggling act, right? And at the time I was having chronic pain, and I was getting ready for spine surgery. I don't know if you remember.
I do. Yeah.
And so, brilliant mind as I am, I decided to take myself off my medication. I decided to be my own doctor. Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Right.
And so I don't know what came over me. I just figured I was superior to it. And yeah, so I ended up in a pit. And he was in a pit at the same time I was in a pit. And so there really wasn't much that I could do, because I was trying to survive, literally. And so when, for his third DUI, I remember we were sitting at the house, and I had just gone to the lake to release a balloon for my dad, and came home, and there's a knock at the door, and it was the police. It's not something you want to see.
Never.
And so, the officers approached, and they said, is this the residence of Rob Costa? And I said, my heart hit the floor, and I said, yes. They said, well, your brother's in the hospital. I said, oh, thank God he's alive. Yeah, he has a DUI. And I said, oh, he was, in my head, I'm like, he was drinking and driving. So I'm already thinking, I'm not going to go pick him up now, because he's probably still drunk, and I want to deal with him sober-minded. So let him sit there for a few days until he gets himself together,
Sure.
They said, ma'am, it wasn't alcohol. And I said, oh. And then I learned that, his overdose was behind a moving vehicle, his truck, and the car was still on. And, so it was pretty serious. Somebody could have died,
Yeah.
And so they did Narcan him back to life. I think during that year alone, he probably overdosed 5 or 6 times. And he would
Jesus.
come back, and he would just say, why am I still here? I don't understand why I'm still here. Like, he didn't want to be here. He was struggling,
Yeah, sure.
and
Yeah.
it hurt to hear that, but I knew the pain that
He was in.
I empathized with him, you know.
Hmm.
And it was real. He was angry that he was still here. And so when that moment came, I said, yeah, that's it. That's the final blow, without a doubt. It's the final blow. And so I went to the lake, and I thank God for the time that I had with him. And then he shut his phone off, and we couldn't find him for 3 days. And so during that time, I knew.
You knew.
And I knew then to make a choice. I thank God for the time that I had with him, because I knew it was miraculous that he was even still here.
Right.
And I just said, far be it from me to say why me, and knowing that he kept him here longer than he should have been,
Hmm.
and I was grateful for that, and that was a gift. And so that was a choice that I made early on, was to accept. And that's the it's one of the hardest things to do, but I will tell you, most of the most of human suffering, the root to most of like human suffering, is just not being able to accept what already is. Because if you could sit and argue with yourself, and you could stay there for 10 years if you
Yeah,
want
forever, I'm
to,
sure.
or you could just accept what is. And
Mhm.
and what is isn't good, right?
Yes.
But it is,
But it is.
And so, and for us as believers, it's not the end.
Mm.
It's not the end. And so I can carry on, and that's my belief. And so it's not forever. This is temporary.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and so it was, that loss was devastating. And I, at the time, I probably could have buried myself in that grief, but I didn't. And I was diagnosed with early stage breast cancer.
Yeah. Now listen, we're going to hold you right there. Guys, listen, I know this has been heavy. I told you ahead of time, right? This is going to be heavy. It's going to be raw. Nichole, this girl is, I don't even know, man. One of the strongest, probably the strongest woman I ever met in my entire life. And I am so honored that she took time to come to the Keeping It Real podcast with Rob J. Stay tuned. We're just going to take a 30-second break. Guys, listen, suicide is real. Mental health is real. We're just going to take a quick break. We're going to put up a number for you. If you are struggling, if you do not like who you are right now, there's help out there for you. And myself and Nichole, we want it for you. We want you to be the best version of yourself. Seek help. We're going to put a number up. Listen, it's okay to call that number. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to find help. We'll be right back.
You are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. If you or someone you know is struggling, please call 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You matter.
All right, guys, we are back. My beautiful sister, friend, Miss Nichole Costa. As you guys know, we just went through some traumatic pain that she's suffered throughout her life with losing both of her brothers and also her dad to suicide. Yeah, guys, you heard it right. Not one, not two, but three in her immediate family. And look at this girl, man. She's still sitting
Still
right
here.
now, right? She's
I'm
still
still here.
here. You're still here. So right before the break, we were into the whole story about your brothers and your dad, and you had mentioned you were learning to find yourself through that, right? Trying to find yourself, like get your feet under yourself and find that new season, and then something else came about, right?
Right. There was never a normal. When people went through COVID and they were like, I just want to get back to normal.
Yeah. What is normal?
Well, when you go through that amount of loss, there is no such thing as normal anymore, right? So you
Makes
get
sense.
comfortable with the discomfort. Like it comes easy. It's like, this was my normal. Now it's not normal anymore. Okay, we're moving on. And it's like you just kind of evolve and develop, and it's you can't get stuck into what was, because it changes. It changed so fast, and so y- so that's tough.
That's tough.
A lot of shifting, a lot of changing, and so coming into 2019 was breast cancer, and it was an early diagnosis. It was stage 1. So when they told me, you know, how
Cancer is cancer.
cancer is cancer, but they told me, you know, how fortunate I was not very happy. I was still really raw and upset. Like you guys are like, this is great. Hi, you know, we never see this, you know, all positive and
On
enthusiastic.
the grand scale.
Right.
Then,
They're
though, they
looking
see
at it and I'm looking at like, do you know what I just went through? I don't want another thing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
For
like,
sure.
this is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good. And so it was then I realized this is like, if I get through this and I live through this, I'm done. You know, I'm living for me.
You did enough.
I did enough. I've been through enough. I've
Right.
seen enough. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal.
Real
you
deal.
know, and so I learned how to sit with it. And fortunately, I'm on the other side of it 5 years free. So
Let's go. Yeah. I
Right.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
so here we are, cancer free. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. So they kept coming, guys. You know, I'm telling you, I can't say it enough just how you go through pain, you go through suffering, you go through things
Mm.
that you're just like, why me?
So you choose how to go through it. You don't get to choose what happens, but you choose how you respond.
The response.
And everything. And so I can't change it, but I'm going to choose my attitude through it. And that's really what you're responsible for.
It's like mic drop. It's like
Correct.
you literally
Like,
just dropped the
You know, I'm going to go through this, but I'm going to still be laughing. I'm going to still be acting silly, and I'm still going to be me.
You're gonna,
You know, because
I think
that's me.
That's the best part about it, that all the things that you've been through, it's shaking you,
Oh yeah.
but it's giving you a little different outlook, but you're still you
Yeah.
through it all. Like,
Yeah.
you're still you.
I mean, and I
think
actually,
that's what's incredible.
yeah, I returned to myself, you know, with dance too, because dance was something I always loved. And then all of a sudden it came back to the surface and I'm like, man, forgot how much I love music and dance, you know, and it may have been buried for a time, but it's like, wow, I still enjoy it. I still get to do these things, you know, even after all this, I still feel music and passion and fire in my soul, you know, like,
Love that.
you can't, that's authentic.
No.
You know, and it's real. And so like you can't fake that. It's not falsified. You know, there's joy.
There's joy.
And there's joy that can't be explained. I don't question. I just walk in it.
I think too, when you said that was joy, I know like one of the hot topic right now is the guy Charlie Kirk who passed away, who got assassinated. And people are pointing the finger and trying to put his wife in a box of what grief and healing looks like. Like they're absolutely like, they're kind of like attacking her, I would
Right.
say, in a way.
Well, she's in the public view, so they're
right,
gonna do that. They're gonna
So,
judge it. Yeah.
So I'm not getting into the whole political thing, but I think with you're like, through all this pain and suffering and cancer diagnosis and
There's
losing,
no
you know,
manuals.
there's
There's no
but,
manuals
like, the
on.
fact that you said like there's still a time that comes where you choose joy, right? You found in
You
dance
do.
and certain things you choose joy, and everybody grieves differently, you know, different ways, different times, different, you know.
I mean, and waves come, right? It's just
For
like being at the
sure.
ocean. You could brace yourself all day and maybe nothing even rolls in. So you wasted energy in just bracing, right? But when the ones that do come break over you, knock you down, they will, you surrender to it. You don't fight it, you know, because fighting the force of that would bury you.
It's
you know?
exhausting.
It's exhausting. And so it's much easier to just express it, let it out, and move on. But I think, you know, we get this illusion of I have to be put together. I have to judge this feeling. I have to feel a certain way. And no, you feel how you feel, and you feel it when you feel it. But don't stuff it and don't bury it. Feel it.
I think a lot of times people want to almost like react based off of what the popularity vote is, you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like they pay attention. I hear it all the time, and not just in this of you know, the story you and I are talking about today, but so many times people are like, what are other people thinking about me? You know what I mean? Or how are people going to, you know, look at me? And I'm like, no, when you're going through something like you, as much as you've been through and how you've overcome it, who cares what other people
I don't
think?
care.
It's about you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? You get the.
I'm the only one that has to be okay with it.
Right.
It's like you could look on the outside and be, oh, that's so sad. And I'm like, yeah, it is, right? But don't look at me as a victim. I'm not a victim.
That's right.
That is not, I'm
Power.
not defined by what I've been through. This is something I've gone through. I still am who I am.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Love that.
And so it's like I hate labels. I hate boxes. I hate boxes.
Yeah.
Like, don't put me in a box.
Right, for
Don't
sure.
put me in a box, because I'll blow your mind every time. And I will break out of it. The more you try to like put these limits on me, it's like the more I'm going to show you, no, that's not it. That's not true.
It fuels you up.
It fuels me, because there's no books or manuals on how to survive what I went through. There's no human being that could come to me and console me.
Right.
So therefore there's no right or wrong way for me to go through it or grow through it. Like it's a cycle, it's a wave, but it's like those things pass. Tomorrow's a new day. And it's
100%.
like I could feel this way right now in this moment, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up and feel totally different. And it's a blank slate. So I get to recreate. And so something that, I've learned over the last 5 years, it really resounds true, and I think it'll really help, is anxiety lives in the future, depression lives in the past, normal is now. So it's staying present.
Say that one more time. I love it. I
Okay.
love it. Say it one more time.
Anxiety lives in the future.
Anxiety. So that's what's to come.
What's to come? What am I expecting?
Yep.
Depression, what I lost, right? Where I went,
happened?
what happened.
Mhm.
Normal's today.
Today.
I'm here with Rob in your house,
Yeah.
in this beautiful studio.
Right.
And we're talking. That's normal.
That's normal.
If I think
That's amazing.
20 years from now, I'm going to have anxiety. You know why? It hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
I can't
What
control
ifs?
it. Right.
It's the what ifs.
And the back there, that's done. That's sealed.
Yeah.
The only reason to revisit it would be to help someone like we're doing now.
Right.
I don't replay trauma. I don't press rewind. I don't have to relive it. I already did.
Yeah.
And I also don't relive it for the sake of someone else's curiosity. You also have to learn how to protect that.
Right.
So it's just learning to stay here.
There's
now.
so many elements though. As you're talking, I'm almost taking like inventory,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm blown away by your abilities. Like honestly, like people hear your story. We go through life and we hear other people's stories, and we kind of just, a lot of people, we just scratch the surface, But when you get to hear how vulnerable you've been here today on the show, and you hear things you've been through, and to see who you are and how you're blossoming, you're just still going and doing and making things happen. It's just an incredible thing. And I reached out to a few people, and I said, listen, if you could ask a few questions about mental health in general. I'm not saying I pinpointed people that were going through something. I don't know what everybody, right? The way the world is now, we're all Instagram ready, right? Like we're all like all
Quick
of our
answers.
all of our lives are good, right? I mean, it's what we put on social media. We show all the
Right,
good.
that's real life.
That's real
Yeah,
life.
right.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok,
If
all that.
it's still on social media, it's real.
It's real.
Right.
Yeah, right. I tell my wife all the time, like, why are you scrolling, looking at all these? They're all like story writers. They're all they're all producing like movies that they want you to watch.
What they want you to believe.
That's not what they're doing,
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever, man. It's just crazy. But so I reached out to a few people though, and I said, listen, if you had to ask someone who has just had so much trauma and things through mental health and have overcome them, what are some questions that you would have for them? And I have a few. I'm going to ask you, and you're just going to give me the shortened version, okay? All right, the shortened version. So the first question, it says, what was the inner voice that kept you going?
Move forward.
Move forward.
Keep moving. Keep moving forward.
Keep moving. Stay in action.
Keep moving forward.
Keep moving. You hear that, guys? So it says, what was the inner voice that kept Nichole going? And she said, keep moving.
You know the quote by Rocky in the movie where he's talking to his son.
Okay.
He says, it's not about how many times you get hit.
Yes, let's go. I love this.
Right. And so I will watch that clip when I need to motivate myself. It's like, that is how winning is done. You keep going.
Yeah.
You keep going.
Keep getting up.
You keep getting up.
Keep getting up. I love it. Question 2. How did you learn to separate your worth from what you went through?
God's word.
God's word. Love that.
Hmm.
What are some things you do daily that help you move forward? What are some tangible things you
Mm.
do to continuously allow yourself to move forward?
Oh, so intentional. It's such a good question. I set my intention in the morning. I meditate. I usually listen to something positive, sit with that, and then I start my day. And then at the end of the day, I reflect. I pull out the good moments.
Yeah.
And I will always find one thing to be thankful for. Um, whether it's a smile from a child in a classroom, or it's a hug, or it's, hey, miss, whatever. It could be the silliest thing. I will find a moment to pull from
Yeah.
and say, I'm so glad I had that moment.
Well, listen, if so this is a question that I came up with.
Mm,
If your dad and brothers could see you now, what would you want them to know about you now? If your dad or brothers could see you now, what would you want them to know? Or what would you just want them to know?
thank you. Like for teaching me so much about myself, about love, about life.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah. Um, and I can't wait to see him.
You can't wait to see them for sure, for sure. So we went through the stories. I don't even know. I'm like lost for words talking to you, man. The way, and I shared this with you on the break, the way you can articulate and the way, like your thought pattern and just like always like, there's another day, right? Like you're all about like positivity and like it got me, but it
Right.
don't control me.
No, I
You know what I
can't.
mean? It's like I think of it like as you're talking, it's like okay, like we put on weight, like I mean physical, like you put on a weighted vest, you put on like people, and a lot of times it's
Mm.
not always self-inflicted.
Well,
Most of our greatest weights that we carry throughout the day are given by others. And we choose
so,
to hold that and we choose to carry that, right? Like
mhm,
throughout our life. Sometimes it's momentarily and we can take it off.
mhm,
Sometimes we put it on for days
mhm,
and then we take it off.
mhm,
Sometimes months or years. And there's times where we get to a point in our life and we can take it off.
mhm,
But there are things that we allow the world and others and including ourselves, right? Because you even said it and corrected me, like there's God and then ourselves. Like we have to be the best version of ourselves. We have to be in tune with
mhm,
ourselves. A lot of times there's weights that we put on that it
Oh,
becomes normalcy. And then before long, we forget that we're carrying added weight,
mhm.
something that absolutely by our
Was never
mindset
yours to carry. And
and our mindset, we could actually take it off, but we
correct,
choose to
to
put it
wear
on
it.
and carry it every day.
Opinions of others is huge. Living to please people will get you tired every single day. I mean, and if there's one thing is live your life to please an audience of one. And so that means it's harder that way because it's more integral, right?
Sure.
So I'm going to do the right thing when nobody else is watching because he is.
Hmm.
And am I perfect? No, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to make mistakes,
Every day,
every
all day.
day. And
I
every
say,
day I'm going to say, God, I'm sorry. Forgive me for what's happening in my head.
yeah,
Like I want to slap someone. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep it real, right?
yeah, that's what
But
it
at the
is.
end of the day, it's like, I can't live to please other people. I can't. And so once you let go of those weights, it's
Mhm.
much, much easier.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I know we talked about all the things that you were going through, and then we wanted to share before we get ready to close out the show here in a few minutes, things that are out there. There's a
Mm.
lot of resources out there.
Mm.
People don't plug into. And I know I was looking at a few things. I looked up a few things. There's tons of therapy out there, and therapy is all over the gamut. I mean, there's
Well, in
like
the virtual world,
I saw
social
dog
media,
therapy,
I mean, right.
horse therapy,
So
like
like,
equestrian therapy. I
correct.
mean, there's
Like
a lot of therapies out
dance
there.
therapy, yoga therapy. There's so many art therapy. Just, go walk in the grass barefoot.
Yeah,
Just,
grounding,
just, just
right?
stay grounded, right? So like, I found a lot of different things, believe it or not, through Facebook. There was a support group for almost anything I could possibly go through, including spine surgery, breast cancer, you name it, from chop to nuts. Finding a group alone, like Grief Share was a group my mom led, teaching you how to grieve. But I couldn't find a resource for people that lost loved ones to suicide in person. You know, I did.
Like locally. And
Correct. I found stuff online and I connected that way. And, like anything, I used it for a time and then I phased it out. Just didn't need it anymore, But
Right.
those supports are everywhere. Like you could find a resource. It's
Everywhere.
so easy.
But it says therapy, counseling, local community centers, and like you mentioned, they're virtual because I think virtual is important because a lot of people don't want to be labeled. Like a lot of
They
centers,
don't.
it says
It's like, I want to be anonymous.
mental health institution, walk in, you
Right.
crazy soul, and you're like, huh, I sure am. I'm going to
I
walk
mean,
in with my head
listen.
up high, and I'm even going to have everybody take my picture when I walk. No, you don't want that, right?
I mean, like if you want to talk about acronyms, I mean, A to Z, I have them all, right? But it's like a lot of the world right now, if I'm being serious, is struggling.
I said it in the stats in the
It's
beginning.
like we are in a crisis. We're in a crisis.
Crisis, for sure.
And there's practical ways for you to help yourself. And a lot of times, it's the simplest thing you can do is think about somebody else. Take the vision off of you and go help someone. Go give your neighbor a meal. Hey, check on the lady down the street. Is she okay? Take your eyes off of you and put them on someone else for a moment,
Yeah.
and just change your shift and give.
Give. I think for me too had a lot to do with, especially in my little mental health hang up I had. A lot of it for me was faith was first
Faith
and
first.
foremost. Accountability partner. I dug in. I mean, my pastor, thank you God, he's one of my good friends, and I trust him with everything inside of me, and we're able to share. And like for him too, he always says it. He's like, I'm a pastor, it's my job. But he always says, man, I'm so grateful and blessed for your friendship and your brotherhood with me because he can share things with me going on because he's human too.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's so great
We need that
we
rapport.
share our faith. We iron sharpens iron. I call when I honestly, I would like to say that I go to church or I call Ryan and I'm like, hey, everything's good all the time. No,
But
I pick
it's
up the
not.
phone and I literally, he hears it in my tone. He can hear the tears rolling down my face. Those are the conversations that I have.
Those are the people that you want.
And those are the people that I want. So I know faith and accountability, also journaling. I know we had
Writing. I've done a lot of writing. Just it's things without judgment. So you could write something down. No one's there to judge it. You feel how you feel. Let it out. Let it go. Art, the same thing. Music, the same thing. A lot of times we're drawn to things that will speak for us because we don't have the words.
Right.
And so journaling, man, I
know journaling.
It's like vomit. It's like I'm gonna vomit everything, every thought, and wow, I feel so much better already. Just letting it all go, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You could burn it if you want.
And then fitness, right? You were talking about
Fitness is
fitness.
huge.
Now let's say this too. Let's give a disclaimer. It's not one size fit all. It's not that's why we talked about numerous things because there's certain situations that not everything works for either. You have to be able to,
do what you enjoy.
Right. And you got to keep trying it until it works for that situation as well.
Or season, because sometimes, you can't, you don't have access to the same things.
All the time.
Working out, for me has always been a lifeline. It increases those endorphins, those feel goods. It's not about looking good as much as it is about feeling good. It just is such a release for you. Just go for a walk. If you can't do anything else, go for a walk, but move.
Walking's been so good for myself. We found that in my house, actually, my wife and I try to end our night with a walk. And it's like, with her job being so grueling and everything I do is grueling and being parents and, you're constantly like, taking off one hat and putting on another. The world calls for so much of us on a daily basis that it's such a beautiful thing. And it's helped my marriage. It's helped my wife. It's helped me individually just to go out and breathe some fresh air and talk and
Be.
dump the day,
Mhm.
you know, and we're able to, if we just feel so much lighter. It's actually been so good for our mental health.
Mm.
So we're getting to the end of the show. It says healing. I wanted people to
Mm.
know that healing doesn't mean forgetting,
Mm.
right? Like
Mm.
some people say, like, oh, when you heal, it's behind you.
So if I could interject,
Yeah.
healing is a lot of times people think I'm going to get back to the original version of new.
Yeah.
Healing just means you accept all sides. You accept the good and the bad, and that's how you're whole. It's not by denying one side or another. You know, you got to accept it all, and that's healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says it means it's learning to live again.
Yeah,
It's like
and you learn to live with it. It's like living with a limp. It's like I'm gonna walk with this limp, you know, and it's okay. You know, the limp reminds me, you know, I went through something, right?
Right.
But I can live with it.
The purpose in your pain.
Right, right.
The purpose in your
Mhm.
pain. And it's okay to talk about pain. It says,
Mm,
I think one of the things I read, all the research I did on mental health, you
yeah.
know, one of the most common denominators of,
Loneliness.
girl, what'd you do? Read my notes?
I don't have to. I lived it.
It's just
Because
like,
I lived so many years um walking in it alone. I would have moments to share. Blogging was an outlet for me.
okay.
But to physically, like tangibly have, you know, a constant, people don't want to hear the same story over and over again. You know, it's like you could only share your pain so much with the same thing, you know, where it gets old and you're just like, okay, like this is a lonely feeling. I have to learn to live with this and be okay with it. You know, no one will understand it, but that's where God comes in. Because there's nothing through hell or high water that you could go through that he doesn't understand or know.
That's right.
He's lived it, walked it, breathed it with you. And so you don't need someone else in there to understand because he already does. And if he wrote the story, he knows the ending. He's not going to leave you here. You know, so I just try to sit with things like that in those moments. Like, if it's alone, I feel alone, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You
But I
know,
think it's important, like you have faith. I think that's one of the things that's like, you know, I have faith. I fail daily. I, Lord knows, I don't know where I would be without my relationship with
mm,
Christ. I wouldn't on those lonely days because
mhm.
sometimes, once again, like pride gets in our way.
Right.
I think a lot of times why we'd rather sit alone is because we don't want to be judged or
Or you don't want to
we don't.
burden someone
No,
or,
I think
yeah.
it's a lot of it for me would be like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want somebody to know the real me. And I
Mm,
think it goes back to when we were talking about social media, right?
mm.
Like everybody goes on because it's easy. You pick up your phone and you could be like, I'm having a great day.
So
Send, you
acceptable,
know what I
right?
mean? And
Yeah.
people are like, wow, what is going on with Rob J? That dude is living life. He's
Well,
living
everybody
large,
wants positive
you
poly,
know?
but
But
when,
as I'm
yeah,
sitting here, I could be playing Russian roulette with my revolver.
correct.
You know what I mean? And that's what people do. It's in the silent times. They, you know, that's when the darkest moments
So,
come.
right. And in saying that, at the heart of every suicide is pain.
Pain.
It is, and it's not that they want to die.
No,
It is they want the pain to
I was
end.
gonna say they want the pain to
And the
go away.
only end is to end it, right? And so what you have to understand about pain is that it's meant to be felt. You can't cover it up. You can't mask it. You can't hide it. You can't, you know, you got to feel it, you
Yeah.
know, and it's hard. It's
But I think pain also gives us the ability to find help, right? Like to
correct.
move.
And say,
Pain is
hey, you
yelling like,
know,
hey, there's
let me
something
raise
going
my
on.
hand. Right. Like it's an indicator. I need help, right? Raise
Mhm.
my hand. I need to reach out. I need to let someone know. But then also, you can never make a permanent decision based off of a temporary feeling.
Oh,
Like our feelings are like clouds in the sky, you know. I have so many feelings every day. They change all day long. It's like constant up and down and up and down. And it's like in 20 minutes, I might not feel this way the same way I did 5 minutes ago. And that's okay. But I have to understand to kind of like internalize that myself and understand that this isn't permanent, this
mhm.
feeling. It could change with a nap sometimes or food or you know just a call from a friend or a bubble bath or like it's you know it's sometimes it's the simple things that we overlook.
Oh,
Yeah.
all day, every day. Well, Nicole, I have a question that I want to end the show with,
Mm.
and it's an important question. Um, Guys, I know you're listening and you're whatever, you're riding your car, you're taking a bike ride, you're walking with your significant other, or maybe you're watching us on your phone, your tablet, whatever it is. There's people out here, um, they may be struggling with if with that pain, right? That is 10 minutes, is 2 minutes from now
Mm,
worth living for, right? There's
mm.
people out there. What would you say to someone who is contemplating not being here, maybe even by the end of this show? What advice can you give? What can you speak? They heard your pain, right? They heard the stories of all your pain, all the things you went through, and you're
Hmm.
here today. You're
Yeah.
here today.
Yeah.
So you're the tangible. I'm not giving you guys false hope. That right there, right? You're living proof that what you're going through today is temporary. We've spoke of words like seasons. You know what I mean? What do you say? What do
What
you
I
say
would
to
say
that
to
person?
someone in that moment would be, me too. Me too. I've been there. I felt that. Me too.
Crazy. Me
It's
too.
just me too.
Me
I've been
too.
there. And, I think if we could just have those honest conversations that we've been in those pits, we felt that way too. And there's no shame in that. You know, Go give up.
Don't give up. Find help. Like right now. Like if you're feeling like that right now, go get help. Like don't wait. That feeling will never go away without help. You need to, right? Like we were talking about pain. It's saying, hey, I can't do this alone,
Right. I matter.
right?
Yeah. And
And
it's,
find somebody that loves you as much as you love yourself, right? Or can help you find an ability to love yourself
again.
again, right? Because we need to love ourselves. And I think that's one of the things why this show, why we're even talking about this show, is so many people go through things that they feel like they can no longer love anymore.
Yeah. Join a
They can't
community,
love
become part of
others,
a
and they
group.
can't love themselves. So
Yeah.
right now, what Nichole and I are sharing with you and what we're telling you is go find help, find someone. There's so many resources. At the end of the show, we're going to be putting up numbers and organizations that you can call, you can reach out, go to your local church. Even if you don't know who they are, run to their door, bang on the door, find help, tell somebody, I don't have nothing
We
left to
care.
give.
And we care.
And we care 100%. You're worth it. You matter. That's what this show is about. That's why Nichole and I are here. That's why we talked about this. That's why we opened up. That's why we shared things, because we don't want this show to end. We don't want you to stop listening to the show feeling the same way you felt when you started listening. We want you
Absolutely.
to know
Yeah.
that you matter and that you were made for greatness. You are not a mistake. You are here because you're supposed to be here. You have a purpose to be here. The issue is not that you don't have a purpose. The problem is that you don't know your purpose. But through your pain and when you heal, you will find your purpose and you will do the good that you were called to do in this world, just like Nichole and I are doing today. So
If I could do it,
if I can do it,
if I can do it, you can do it.
that's right. So guys, listen, a simple conversation will save a life. A simple phone call, save a life. Don't take this lightly. Mental health is on a rampage through our communities, through your home, through our families, and through our world. Now is the time to speak up. Now is the time to find help. Now is the time to change that pain from that, right? Take that pain you're going through and find your purpose through healing. Nichole, thank you so much for coming on and
Totally a
sharing
pleasure.
your story.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, girl. Like I said, I knew I walked alongside of you for
Yeah.
a lot of that story, but oh my
I
goodness,
just have to
man.
say,
It's just
I am not here for myself. I am here for anyone out there that is listening. From the bottom of my heart, I just would hate to have lived through hell and not to come out on the other side and say, hey, you can do this. You can do this. And there's people that care. There's people that love you. And if I can do it, you can do it.
it's awesome.
You can do it. It's hard.
So
You can do
listen,
it.
mental health, we both know is real. Pain is real, but don't forget healing is possible. Just like it's possible for this young lady sitting right here, for this guy sitting right here, and for a lot of other people, probably all around your circle. Love is possible, and your purpose is right around the corner. It's waiting for you. Go get help today. Guys, we couldn't thank you enough for sticking with us for all this time through this show. We are so humbled, so grateful that you took the opportunity and the time to sit and spend time with Nichole and I. Boy, I tell you, we're going to be praying for all you guys, and don't give up on yourself. You matter. Keeping it real with Rob J. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Mental health matters, and help is always available. In the U.S., call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. In the UK, reach Samaritans at 116 123. In Canada, dial 988. In Australia, call Lifeline at 13 11 14. Wherever you are, someone is ready to listen. You are not alone.